I think first and foremost, work ethic is like 100% of it. I always tell people showing up is almost 50% of the battle. If you're not a step ahead, you're a step behind. The market outside, I can't control. I can't control politics. I can't control bad decision making. I can't control where buyers are, but all I can do is figure out how to work in this moment and make it work for me. You could choose to say, hard job, hard moment, I'm gonna give up or I'm gonna work less. Or you could say, you know what, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Yep. Let's go. And I've always been like a let's go kind of guy.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rise Above the Ranks, brought to you by Estate Media. I'm James, I'm here with my co-host David, and we are thrilled about today's episode.
We are joined by one of the most... Who wrote this?
I'm loving it. Keep going. Let's hear this. Let's hear this.
Nothing yet. By one of the most iconic names in the real estate... By the way, if you do a podcast, we want the same intro again.
I'm loving this.
Okay. By one of the most iconic names in the luxury real estate, Aaron Kirman, with over $19 billion.
We're $1 billion short. It's actually 20.
Okay.
I love
With
it.
over $20 billion in career sales and $2 billion in sales in 2023 alone, Aaron has established himself as a true powerhouse in the industry. And you're actually a very nice person as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are nice as well.
Indeed. By the way, your intro's not over yet.
Oh my God. Keep
Just
going.
so you know.
By the way, this is the best meeting of my day here.
We don't all hate each other. We actually get along great. And Aaron, joking aside, has and represents over $2.2 billion in active luxury inventory right now, has very innovative strategies, unmatched network, and truly does have a passion for luxury sales and wants to redefine the real estate market. And truth be told, like in this high-end market, we all learn from each other, and we're excited to have Aaron on the show. Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks
today.
for having me. And by the way, thank you. You guys made my day. This was a great beginning of the day.
Indeed.
If I could
it's not even lunchtime.
If I could start every day with you guys as the beginning entry of a podcast, I'd be very happy. This would be a good real estate day.
We did write that, by the way.
I'm very, very impressed. If I ever start a podcast, I will return the favor. But it would be genuinely true.
Let's go. Let's jump right into it. So, you know, we just touched on your incredible sales record, which is truly remarkable. 20 billion in career sales, 2 billion in 2023. Like, what do you think has been the key to sustaining success in the luxury market?
Yeah. I think it's a couple things. I think first and foremost, work ethic is like 100% of it. Mm-hmm. I get up every day, even when I had no business. When I was like 17, I started in this business. I literally got up and I had nothing, and I had a fake briefcase because there was not one piece of paper in that. And I was just like, I'm going to go to work today, and I'm going to work 7 a.m., and I'm going to stop at 7 p.m. And I don't know what I'm going to do because I have nothing to do at this moment as a new agent, but I'm going to do it. And I always tell people showing up is almost 50% of the battle.
And what did you do, just out of interest?
With that briefcase.
Yeah, with
that
briefcase.
Absolutely nothing. The briefcase went in the trash because I realized I'm not a briefcase kind of guy.
Yeah.
But by showing up, you kind of figure it out, right? If you're there and you're going to spend the time and the hours and day, you're going to say, okay, how am I going to make this work? I would say there were a couple things that I did that really helped to lead to give me the path. One was I created a niche. So when I was very young, I liked architectural houses, and I was like, okay, I'm going to specialize in this niche of a house. And that gave me a focus. So that was a really good thing I did. And by having a focus, I started getting into the crowd that was fashion, art, celebrity. That was probably the first 15 years of my career, highly niched. And then one day I changed companies, and my title was taken because I was like director of architecture. I was gone. They're like, we're just going to make you president of estates. And I was like, all right. So then I was like, well, how am I going to make an impact? And I went from what was, you guys know the company, it was Hilton and Highland at the time, which was one of the best at the time luxury companies.
I didn't even know you were at Hilton Highland.
Yeah, I was there for 10 years.
Wow.
So that was one of the best companies. And I went from that to, I was given minor ownership into a different company called John Arrow Group, which was not as luxury.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, how am I going to make an impact? So I literally called everybody I knew that had 20, 30, 40, $50 million houses. And the day I opened that division, I had 3 mega listings. And so it's a little bit of showing up, hard work, but curating what you're doing, where you're going, and being ahead of the curve, and seeing where the market's going good and where it's going bad, and knowing that if you're not a step ahead, you're a step behind.
5 steps behind.
5 steps.
Right?
And in this business, you guys know it's so competitive. When you lose, you lose. And when you're winning, you're winning. And so, one of the next things that I think that I was way ahead of the curve on is if I didn't create a team 10 years ago, and this was before the team was a thing. Like the team wasn't a thing, and everyone's like, why would I join a team? And so I didn't have anybody that wanted to join. So we had to get agents, teach them, train them, show them why a team could work. But that was also a game changer for me because we had the mega team before the mega team existed.
Yeah.
And I credit that because if I didn't have that, I probably would be in a very different place today.
I love that. I really like what I hear, which is he had intention behind everything he did.
Everything.
Right? And yes, the briefcase. I also love that you quickly realized that wasn't true to who you are. And I think so many people that might follow you or us or the next agent, we always talk about it. Be true to who you are. Don't try and be the briefcase person if you're not the briefcase person, but have intention behind everything that you do and work harder than the competition. We talk about it all the time.
100%. Look at you guys wearing these beautiful sweaters, cardigans. When I was less authentic, I used to wear suits and it just didn't feel right. And I remember one day I spilled coffee. I was driving to my first $100 million appointment. And
I've heard that. That was a brilliant line, by the way. I remember I was driving to my first.
No, it
$100 million
really was. It
appointment.
was like $100
No,
million
really, that was
appointment.
just great
And I
line.
had a suit on and it looked great. And I spilled my coffee and it was all over my white button shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do now? And I couldn't go home. I didn't have time. I was already a little late. So I went in with a T-shirt. I had one T-shirt that was clean in my back seat. I went in. I got that $100 million listing. It was my first one, and I realized I just felt better in wearing a T-shirt, and that's
real.
authentic to me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna own it. And that was also in a different world where today there's a lot of everything in our business.
Yep.
But back then it was pretty streamlined. It was pretty standard, and so you guys, we all pave our own path.
Yeah, I love it. Honestly, be authentic and be true to who you are.
100%.
Your T-shirt's very nice.
Thank you. I mean, it's like a $20 T-shirt from H&M, but thank you.
And I love
Really?
it.
It's very nice.
Maybe not. I'm not sure. I mean, it goes back and
But I'm
forth.
sure you have some like that.
Let's move into a topic that we do have to discuss because it is so front and center in our lives right now, which is the wildfires. It's been an insane couple of weeks. We don't need to go into the weeds of it right now, but obviously the areas that are most relevant to the three of us right now is the Pacific Palisades, right? Where luxury homes have been taken. We heard you on a recent interview mentioning that residents plan to rebuild. We're hearing all sorts of different opinions. We have our own opinion. But can you talk about the resilience that you're seeing among homeowners and people that you're speaking to and how you think it's going to ultimately shape the local market? 'Cause
Yeah,
we're hearing so many different opinions. Want to hear it from you.
Yeah, I remember hearing Josh Altman was like 70% of the people are moving out and moving to Orange County, and I thought that was, I love Josh, but a little self-serving because he has an office in Orange County.
Just a little.
Just a little. And I haven't seen that. I mean, this was a tragedy, right? On an insane scale that I don't think America's ever seen before, with damage, collateral damage, psychological damage, all of it.
Just terrible.
It was terrible. But the one thing that I realized from this is we are a community. We are a resilient community. And people that choose to be in Southern California choose to be in Southern California for a reason. They have businesses here, their kids are here, their friends are here, their religious organizations are here. And it's not that easy for that type of person to just pick up and move to
Say, I'm
Manhattan
out.
Beach
Yeah.
or Miami or anything else.
Or wherever.
And so what I have come to realize is people that live here love living here and aren't leaving. And thank God we're in a big enough city that for now we can disperse locally, house people, and let them figure out their next move.
Yep.
But if I was a betting man, I would say Palisades is going to be bigger and better in 10 years.
Exactly what I think.
It's going to be a very long time. It's going to be arduous. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be ups and downs, but it's going to come back. And the reality is Southern California is the best place to live. It's hard to replace it. people that leave tend to want to come back. And as long as we have policy change, I think we will recover and it will work great. But the caveat is policy change.
Yes.
I think we can't continue to run the same policies that were bad policies before and expect to rebuild correctly.
Yeah, can't have this happen again.
We can't.
Be
Not
a
only that.
disaster.
Not only that. I mean, listen.
On top of a disaster.
A disaster on top of a disaster. I mean, and it's not just the fire. It's policy. It's taxation. It's lack of being prepared in an emergency. It's bad real estate decisions. Measure ULA, wildlife ordinance. All of these things combined lead towards a state that's in decline that needs to change to get back to where it was.
Yeah. And whether or not this will be enough to create change.
It better be
Which it really
Can't happen
better be.
again.
It cannot happen again.
No, there's no choice.
And I think the residents of these areas that are affected, it was a wake-up call. Like, this didn't need to happen. Like, we live in a first world country in a world-class city, and the fact that fires could rampage our entire city and dehouse so many people is super problematic. This is not a third world country, and it doesn't even happen in third world countries.
I was just going to say, I'm married to a woman from a third world country, and she is like, this does not happen in our country. How does this happen in the United States of America in 2025? It's
So you and I are both married to my husband's Venezuelan, yours is Bolivian.
Yep.
You're not husband, wife, sorry. Sorry.
Yep.
Not trying to
Yep.
cause any controversy here.
no controversy taken.
No controversy. So, my husband said the same thing.
Yeah,
and
it's
he's like,
mind-blowing.
it's mind-blowing. And the fact that there wasn't water in the wells, and I mean, I could go on and on.
It was $140,000 to fix the reservoir that they didn't fix, yet they were putting millions and millions of dollars into other ridiculous things. It's
Correct.
policy.
It's
Policy
policy.
needs to change. Power lines need to go underground. So many things need to happen, and the government need to get their you-know-what out of their you-know-what and
Correct.
make
And
change.
specifically the California government.
Yes.
And I'm kind of happy to see federal
Yes.
stepping in right now.
1,000,000%.
Federal literally told government officials to get their head out of their ass,
Yep.
to start fixing and moving and not waiting. And that is exactly what we need right now.
Amen.
Agreed.
Amen.
Well said and very informative. Now, shifting over to
Yes.
you, Aaron.
Yeah.
You've managed to secure. It's funny because we tell our story a lot on this podcast, right? How we got to where we, and everyone's different. Everyone has their own path. You've managed to secure and sell some of the most exclusive properties. Obviously, we know the one being one of them, and the Danny Thomas estate. What is your approach? What is the secret Aaron sauce aside from hard work? How do you land these listings? What is your approach?
Yeah. Good question. When you are good at what you do, and when you're so skilled at it, and when you have the knowledge, and then more importantly, took the time to create the connections, it flows naturally and easily. Like, it just does. Any of these sellers, if you're just cold calling somebody, I don't care who you are, you could be the biggest agent or not, there's a lack of trust at the incision, right? So I've always played the back door. Like, that sounds kind of gross, actually. That sounds kind of gross. But I've always focused my energy on business managers, lawyers, CPAs, friends. And how can I connect the dots in a very, very easy way? So when I make that call, it's not a cold call. It's like, hey, I was referred by this person. I hear you're considering selling. Let's have a talk. I also took a lot of time and energy in building the relationships to get to that point, so that I call it soldiers. I feel like I have a lot of soldiers working for me, doing the work for me, so that at the end of the day, I show up, I do my job, I do it well.
Which is the art, because it's the delegation that allows you to grow.
Correct. I mean, the hardest part of our job is, for any agent, getting the lead. I have more inbound leads than I actually can handle sometimes.
Send them this way.
And,
We'll take it.
you guys have. You
It's a
guys
nice problem to have,
You guys
though.
probably have more inbound leads too than
I'm
you.
joking.
But that's a great position to be, and that means that we've done our job right. That means you have hundreds of people that thought you did well, that are referring you to their friends, referring you to their clients, growing your business, helping you grow, knowing that they're giving great advice to their friends, and that's how it works. And I've been lucky enough to sell some of the most expensive houses, but it wasn't like I had to fight to get that lead. I had to fight to make it happen, which is a different story.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I'll just add to that. And I can't speak for you, but I'm pretty sure we both suffer with ADD and can't focus. But today is probably one of our biggest attributes in business. But I'll speak for myself. And the point that I'm making is I am with paperwork. And so therefore, I don't spend any time in a day doing paperwork because that's not where my time is best spent. My time is best spent being in front of the clients, showing the properties, listing the properties, negotiating the deals. And I guess the point that I'm trying to make is you really have to play on your strengths. You know, we have soldiers too, but we're business partners. He has strengths that are my weaknesses and vice versa. And I think in order to grow in this business, in order to be successful, you have to know what your strengths truly are, and you have to play to those strengths and delegate those weaknesses so that you can continue to grow. And I'm pretty sure we're fairly similar in that respect.
Well, I don't know if you know this. So I'm highly dyslexic. When I was young, I couldn't read, I couldn't write. I have ADD on the worst case scenario, and I'm never happy with where I am, ever. I always, like you asked me what my big sales were, and this is legitimate. I don't even remember them.
I am the
because
exact
I
same.
have no idea what I did in the past because I'm so focused on my future that whatever I did is my past. It means nothing to me anymore. And people always ask me what I did, and it literally takes me 5 minutes to have to think about it.
My wife thinks I have dementia. It's
By
a
the way,
problem.
I feel like I might. I feel like I
Bad.
might have dementia. But what you're saying is so true. This is a silly secret I shouldn't be saying, but I'm going to say it. I don't know how to fill out the new contract. I don't know how to get into DocuSign.
Yep.
I actually don't even know how to get into the MLS anymore. There's
You shouldn't need to.
No
though.
joke. I don't know because that's not what I'm good at. I'm not good at that stuff. What I'm good at is human to human connections.
Yep.
I'm great at building.
Yep.
I'm great at selling. I'm great at showing. I'm great at negotiating. I'm great at anything front forward.
Yep.
Anything at the back, I know how to direct the show. Here's what I need. Here's what we need, and here's why.
Yep.
But I'm not good at doing it.
Yep.
I realized that a long time ago. I remember I was making like $40,000. This goes back to when I was like 18, 17. I hired an assistant.
Yep.
Because I knew I couldn't do it. I'm not that organized. I'm not that structured. I needed somebody to do that for me. And once I did that, I was able to fly.
I love it.
Because what I'm good at, I'm good at.
Yep.
And what I'm not good at, and I always tell people, talk to me about politics, love, life, not that good.
Yep.
Talk to me about real estate in general.
Yep.
I'm good.
Yeah.
It's what I'm good at.
Really
I'm
good.
really good at that. So like that's the one thing, and I've learned a long time ago. My gut is accurate.
Yeah.
As long as I listen to it, I'm dead on. And I know when I'm going to make. Sometimes I don't listen to my own gut, but I know when I'm going to make money. I know when I'm not. I know when a house is going to be a flop. I know when it's going to be a success. I know what relationships are going to work and what ones are
It's a
not.
superpower, honestly.
I
You
just
have
this-
it or you don't.
Correct. But now sometimes we don't listen because real estate agents tend to be a little slutty.
Yep.
We try to get as much business as we can. And that's part of the business too, because there's this one thing, and I always say it just happens. There's this 1% chance that we're wrong
Yep.
or right. And that 1% keeps us making mistakes.
Called greed.
It's called greed.
It was built in.
Listen, we make,
I'm with you.
We make a lot of money.
Yep.
And the deals that, I remember I walked away from a $65 million deal last year and it sold. And I was like, no, the year before, sorry. And I'll never forget. I was like, God, I thought it was not going to sell for a penny over 38.
We've all been there and done it, right?
That person made $2 million.
Yeah. We've all been there and done it. Play to your strengths, not your weaknesses.
100%.
And that's what my takeaway is from that.
Definitely, 100%. Well done, Aaron.
Thank you.
On all your success.
Thank you.
And being
Appreciate it.
true to yourself.
Thank you. By the way, vice versa.
Thank you.
I always say you guys are the guys that came from.
I feel like we kind of invaded in a way. Do you
You
know what I
guys
mean?
came-
Like we
I
weren't
mean,
homegrown. We were
Listen, you guys,
transplanted.
at one point, I remember seeing you. I was like, who are these guys? Just doing business,
Who
good.
are these guys?
Who are these guys doing business, good? And then all of a sudden, you guys just rose to like stardom. And I've seen that happen. And keep in mind, I've done this for 30 years in this market. I've seen it happen 3 times. And you're one of 3.
Wow. Got goosebumps.
Technically 2, but thank you very much.
That's,
That was very nice, Aaron.
No, it's true.
Coming
It's true.
from you.
It's
that-
one of 3 in 30 years is pretty hard to break. And there's always people that
I
come
want to
and
know who the other 2 were.
The other 2 would be, I would say, love them, hate them. Altmans were what I saw. I saw that rise real quick. And funny enough, Oppenheim, like he was where he was.
And we've heard his story. It's actually really, his story is very interesting.
He's a smart guy, Jason.
By the way, I remember because I was a minor owner of a company. Oppenheim was going to join John Arrow Group, and at the time he didn't really have the numbers to get the big corner office. So they didn't.
No,
I swear. This is a true story.
Yeah.
He didn't really have the numbers to take that big corner office. He was going to join the company. They didn't give him that big corner office, and so he opened his own.
Good for him.
And
he showed them.
Yeah.
But Jason's a smart guy, lawyer. Jason, I kind of always say this, like, what you see is what you get, and I love that.
I love that.
I really do, and I love that he cornered a market that was in the Hollywood Hills, that was a specific sort of price point.
Yep.
And he owned it, and he did great.
And he made
did
it look
great.
sexy as well.
Yeah.
Granted, though, now that we're talking about it, the three superstars all had
You
TV
say
power
that,
behind that,
Yeah.
and I never really put that together until this
thought about it
conversation.
that way, yeah.
And that's a niche. Like
Yeah.
the TV people are TV people. If you look at some of the mega producers, they don't have TV shows,
Totally.
and they're killing it. So I think it's just a different way of doing business.
And that's what we spoke about. It's about being true to yourself.
True to yourself. And by the way, listen, like them, don't like people. I would say if you look at the top, let's just say 5 agents, if you're dominating LA marketplace, you're dominating the world marketplace. It is what it is. And unfortunately, we all compete in the same place. Imagine if we were in different cities. Like it would be incredible, right? But, you know, the people that dominate really are themselves.
Yep.
Like them, don't like them, think they're great, don't think they're great.
And they're all very different.
All very
That's
different.
what's so interesting about it.
And authentic.
And authentic. You
And
have to
authentic.
be, but it doesn't work otherwise.
In most sales rooms, there is, or any sales industry, there's a rule that 20% do 80% of the business.
Correct.
In our industry, it's like 1% do
Less.
99%.
Yes, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a very cutthroat, competitive industry.
Probably like 5, maybe
but
6.
it doesn't, you don't need to, you can get along, you can play in the sandbox, and everyone can do just fine.
Well, that's true, as long as the rules apply.
Of course.
And sometimes the rules get very convoluted in this business.
Yes,
And
agreed.
in my opinion, there's black and white, right and wrong, but there's also this gray area because we're partners when we need to co-list together. We are sometimes competitors because we don't know
It's
we're
so
up against each
interesting.
other.
Yep.
We are partners when all of a sudden there's a buyer and a seller and we're trying to put a deal together. And the rules get very blurred because it's hard to define the rules.
Yep.
And that's where it gets really tricky.
Because it's not one playbook for all. But what I love about what you just said is we're partners when you're in a deal with buyer and seller. I think a lot of agents have a misunderstanding around that. They think you're against each other. That is not the case. At least
Correct.
I don't look at it that way, and I know David doesn't, is we are partners. We are in this to try and make the deal where everybody feels as though they got something. And I think that's the art to negotiation. And I love that point because we are partners when we are in a deal together and need to make it right for our clients.
But I'll tell you something. I really, really, really enjoyed doing our last deal. So we just closed a $26 million deal. Was it 26?
Yep. Yep.
And I have worked with everyone from Sirhan to, everyone around the country and world because this is what we do. And I thought you guys were amazing partners, and I'll tell you why. I thought we were actually great partners for each other because our styles were very similar.
Yep.
We don't bullshit.
Yep.
We don't cut punches. And we don't tell people what we want to hear. And I work with a lot of the top agents that are a lot softer than both of us. And they kind of mince their words and they go around in circles. You and I, when we were working together on our last deal, which was a month ago?
Yep.
We were like, you're not going to get this. This isn't going to happen. Don't try. You're wasting your time. This is a disaster. It's the wrong thing to do.
And it was all true and honest and very upfront. And it couldn't be argued because it was the truth.
And it was the truth. And I really love that about you because I am that way.
Yeah.
But not all of my partners are. And when you're not in the same communication mode, sometimes somebody looks harder or rougher than the other, and the client experience they don't enjoy it.
100%.
But because we were both the same,
had
I
nowhere
don't
to
think
go.
he equally didn't enjoy both of us. And ultimately, I think he enjoyed both of us when it
I
closed.
know what you mean. And by the way, said a big thank you to both of us once
Correct.
the transaction closed. And that's the key. And the buyer was happy.
And he was not an
that's the
easy
key.
guy. He's a nice guy, but
Nice
like
guy, but
nice
not-
guy, but not easy.
Not easy,
Not easy.
at all. So obviously we're reaching time, but one more thing. You've been vocal about the importance of resilience in challenging market conditions. For agents that are listening and watching, give one lesson that you've learned from navigating through the tougher times in the luxury market.
Yeah.
It's not always roses.
Yeah, no, by the way, this job is very challenging. It's only getting more challenging. In many respects, I feel like we ate our industry alive between market conditions, where we are in the competition, right? Different business than it was when I started 30 years ago. But I would say...
30 years ago,
Yeah,
Aaron?
because I started when I was 17.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's really 16, actually.
Same.
It goes fast. I would say the resilience is key, right? Look at where you are, look at the market, look at the moving parts, and be 5 steps ahead of the game, but never, ever, ever let the challenge hold you back. I read the news every single day because I feel like I need to talk about the news to be able to curate clients in the right direction. But I never let it get me down. I remember in 2008 when markets crashed. I actually did good. I did not do bad in 2008. Why? I didn't let it get to me. I said, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work smarter. I hated doing short sales. I hated them. They were, and by the way, everything I'm not good at. Curation of numbers and codes and payroll, all this shit. But I remember I called all my bank contacts at the time and I said, I am who I am. Give me your short sales. And I got a lot of short sales. It was a nightmare for me. I had to hire a staff of like 5 just to do the stuff I'm not good at. But it worked. And I remember saying, okay, market's down, let's get buyers. I'm a listing agent 99% of the time. That's my skill set. But I did a pivot. I would say 2024 was one of real estate's hardest years in 30 years. And the reason is there were no buyers and there were no sellers. Like there was just limited inventory on both sides and there was no motivation for both people. We ended up having a good year, but I ignored it. I was like, listen, the market outside, I can't control. I can't control politics. I can't control bad decision making. I can't control where buyers are. But all I can do is figure out how to work in this moment and make it work for me and not get in the zone. And it goes back to like, honestly, energy. Like I'm an energy person. Like good energy breeds good energy, bad energy brings bad. So you could choose to say, hard job, hard moment, I'm going to give up or I'm going to work less. Or you could say, you know what, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Let's go. And I've always been like a let's go kind of guy.
I fucking love it. Honestly, I love it. And your story is far more similar to my own than I ever realized.
Well, that's why we get along.
But the glass has to be half full.
Half full.
Right? We talked about this on a previous episode. Like we make a choice. The glass could be half empty and you can be fucking miserable and everything's shit and I'm not going to make any money and feel sorry for me and my life's crap. Or you get the choice to be positive and put your head down and focus and look forward, never look back and be successful and not listen to everything else that's behind or watch the competition. Just focus, laser focus. And I think that's what separates you from the rest.
Do you guys notice if you wake up I don't know about you guys, but if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, all of a sudden my day is nothing but bad. Like I'll get sellers that want to fire me. I'll get threats on lawsuits.
All before 11 a.m.
All before 11 a.m. I'll lose 5 deals. I'll lose $1 million in the morning. Agents in my brokerage are unhappy. And you're like, what the hell just happened? And
those days are, you know that you're getting closer to a good day. It all comes together in the end.
Yes, but the thing is, well, no, what I was going to say is, I did it to myself because I was in that mode and I was weak and I let that energy into my life. I think part of success is blocking energy, both blocking or allowing the right energies in, good and bad. If you wake up in the morning, you feel strength and you feel positive and you feel great, I don't know about you guys. I could make $1 million that day. But if I'm not, I could lose $1 million that day. And so one last tip, but I know we have to go soon. is before you focus on business, like, and that's what we need to do. Focus on yourself. Yeah. Like, figure out what's going right. Figure out what's going wrong. Make sure you're in the right mindset, because if you're in the right mindset, you're going. And if you're not, you're stuck. And if you're not feeling good, you're not going to be good for yourself, your business, your clients.
Yep. I love it. I love it. It starts with yourself. It starts with yourself. I could go into a whole thing around that, but sadly not enough time. But it does start with yourself. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
Here.
You're awesome, Aaron.
You guys are awesome as well.
We've enjoyed this. We know you don't do a ton of podcasts, so thank you for giving us the time.
No, I didn't say that. I do podcasts. I don't normally do. I don't do agent podcasts.
Well,
you guys were the exceptions.
We are grateful. That is a wrap for this episode of Rise Above the Ranks. Thank you to everybody for tuning in and listening and watching on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow for more Rise Above the Ranks and Estate Media, and please let us know who you'd like to see as a future guest on the podcast. Thank you so much.